Welcome to The Making of Her, the podcast about evolution of powerful women leaders. Because the real story isn't just the success you see on the outside. It is the growth, the courage, and the conviction, the reinvention that is happening behind the scenes. I'm your host, Dr. Meghna Dasani. Each week, we explore the mindset, the leadership, and defining moments that shape the women we're becoming. Today's guest is Dr. Whitney Weiner. She is a nationally recognized periodontist. She is a boss babe, an entrepreneur, and a growth leader based in Detroit. She's also the founder and CEO of Whole Dental Wellness, which is a multi-location specialty dental group. She serves as the Chief Growth Officer and board member of Icon Dental Partners, which is a doctor-owned, doctor-led platform helping shape the future of dentistry. Whitney's deeply passionate about building people-first organizations, mentoring women leaders, and creating systems that allow professionals to grow without burning out. Beyond her professional accomplishments, she is a proud mama of 3 boys, an active community volunteer, and someone who believes that success is built through connection, consistency, and courage. In today's conversation, we talk about leadership, about growth, and what it truly takes to build a career and a life that evolves with you. Let's dive into the making of her with Dr. Whitney. Welcome, Whitney. It is such an honor to have you. I know we've gone back and forth a little with me getting sick last time, but we finally made it.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you. And I'm glad you're feeling better. Sometimes those bugs take us down.
Oh my God, kids. I blame kids for everything. So you are a periodontist by training, is that correct? So not finished dental school, you actually opted for higher training, bettering yourself in the field that you really felt drawn to. But now it seems like you've moved away from being that boss babe clinician into a CEO, into a growth leader, into somebody that actually guides other doctors scale their practices. Tell me more about how that came about, and more importantly, what was the mindset shift that was needed? Because dentistry is our entire identity. Tell me all.
I love it, Meghna, and I hope I still have the title of boss babe. That's awesome. I want that one. I don't want to drop that one. But it's an evolution. And I think for me, if you were to ask younger me, I'm 42. If you were to ask me a decade ago, I'd say I want to be the very best surgeon there is. I want the nip tuck practice with the fish tank behind me and surgical outcomes that define, my prowess within our profession. And I loved it. I loved the complex cases. I still do. I still love planning the really complex rebuilds with implants and all of those things. But for me, what I found, I think is an evolution the last 10 years, becoming a mom. I have 3 little boys, is what I really love is people. And I think that developing people are more so allowing the space for people to grow to their highest and best is what really fulfills me and my greater why. And so as I bought dental practices and scaled this company, it's natural, I think, to have that pull of there's only one me. And so am I wearing the surgeon hat, right? The ultimate operator? Can I outproduce my problems? Or am I moving into that entrepreneurial role? And what I'm really working on now is ascending into as executive, which is a struggle. I feel like I float back all the time between those different things, but I just love people. And I think that the greater mission is if we can continue to grow and scale our company, we're effectuating more change within our own community of our team members who are really my patients, is how I see it now, or my clients. And if I serve them well, then they can go out and serve the community.
I love that. Love it. There is an innate distrust that sometimes comes about with higher management, though, or bosses. Let's just put it that way. Even though I don't know that, I would say you're just the boss, right? You do so much more than
the
direct people and dictate them, which you are. But I often feel it's harder as women because we're so nurturing, and that's our innate nature. And you have little ones. So how do you keep that boundary firm without being, and pardon my French, called a bitch? Because we've all been there.
For sure. I mean, when you figure it out, let me know, Meghna, but it is one of those things that I struggle with. Excuse me. I really feel that accountability is one of my weaknesses, holding people accountable. I love really big. And I think that's very common, especially for women CEOs and founders, like you mentioned. Yeah, we can see color a little better to perfectly match those crowns. And I think our big hearts is a superpower. And it's a skill set that's needed, at least for me, to be trained to say, okay, I love you. And really, feedback is a gift. So, how I try to, I would say, introduce that to our teams is that you may not always like me, but you can trust me because I'll always be honest and direct with you. And I'm your biggest supporter and a raving fan. And sometimes we're going to have a hard conversation, and I'd expect you to have it with me too, because that's the only way that we can grow. And so that's been an evolution for me. Again, it really is a weakness because I love so big, but especially in the last year when I've really looked at my why and what are we doing? Who are we building for? What does this look like? How much of it is ego? How much of it is for the greater good? And trying to dissect that. I think I'm leaning harder into accountability without trying to give the whole team whiplash. And with that, I do feel that people want it. I don't know how you feel, Magna, but I really think that it is a gift and people want to know what winning looks like, because if they don't have certain KPIs that they're driving toward or know, you know what, I'm doing a great job, then they're left in limbo. So I have found for me that even if sometimes I think I'm being tough, the people who know me and love me are like, Whitney, you're so soft still, you're doing great. And I'm like, are you sure? You know, I don't know, that was kind of brutal. And they're like, no, we really needed direction. So I think it's just getting more comfortable for me with myself and knowing that I'm actually doing a service by providing authentic feedback.
I agree with you 100%. You know, I've always said that the team members that are growth oriented, growth minded, who actually want to not just help the company grow, but even grow themselves, are ones that will welcome that feedback. And at the end of the day, I think you're right. It is a superpower because you and I are able to put that forth with, not that the male leaders don't have the love and the empathy, but it is our superpower as women. We're naturally caring. It really does separate our team members from who has the growth mindset, who is meant to be here long term, and maybe even ascend the ranks versus who's here just to clock in and clock out. So I think it is. You're right on there with that.
I couldn't agree with you more. In our company, we love to say we have rock stars and shooting stars. So rock stars, let's go in, let's master our craft, right? You can be the best dental assistant for the next 30 years, and we love that and we support that. Or are you a shooting star? Do you want to kind of continue to grow, maybe even outside the chair into leadership, or what does that look like? And then, of course, the other option is we're coaching you out for a necessary ending. So it's one of those three things that we're really trying to lean into.
Yeah. As we grow, as we better ourselves, people that aren't meant to be on that train with us will find themselves getting off. So love it. Love. What does it really look like to build and scale a business the size that you are in as a woman while you are still being as present as you can as a spouse, a mom, a friend, the different hats that we wear? How hard is it?
Oh, I mean, we could talk about this for days, right? It's messy and it's challenging and it's everything too. You know, I think that for me, I am a better mom because I have this professional career and because I can unplug in this space that we've both gone to school for so long and trained it in love. Like we were joking before we even started about your love of teeth and the airway. And for me, that used to be beautiful soft tissue grafts. And now it's transitioned into people. But with that, it's taking care of my little people too, right? My little guys at home and my husband, and in our home, I'm the default parent. And so with that, I've become hyper intentional about time. So if you looked at my calendar, you'd be like, whoa, looks like a Crayola crayon box because everything is color coded. I have it dialed. Even before our podcast this morning, I was helping my son study for his algebra test before my husband took the kids to school. And so I think it's that hyper focus and detail and how we're going to be as impactful, or I'll be as impactful as I can be within those micro bites of time. Because again, I think this is a superpower of women and maybe even more, moms, not again to cast shade on anyone else. But if I want to be present at a play at 4:00, I'm going to crush the day from 9 to 4 and make sure that everything is done and dialed and buttoned up and ready to go. And then there's some nights I'm working when I put the kids to bed. So I think, Magna, it's just intentionality for me. My girlfriends, my tribe are my people too. And so I have a small circle, but I'm very loyal, and so I'm there for you. And, working out with my girlfriends is like therapy to me. It's like going for a walk in nature. And so I think that even in the last few years, more so than ever, I realized that put your oxygen mask on first, right? You need to take care of yourself. And with that, that's a workout with my friends at 8:30 on a Monday morning. This is a silly thing, but I started DJing again a few years ago. And so it's a DJ lesson with my coach to help me with a creative outlet. And instead of feeling guilty about having that on my calendar, I know that it strengthens me and makes me a more effective and better leader, mom, friend, and wife.
I love that. And we don't realize it, but we only have our kids for so long.
I know. Don't make me cry.
They fly away. Well, we're right there. My little one heads off to college this year in the fall.
Oh, yeah.
And my husband and I looked at each other like, what are we going to do when there's no tennis to go to? Yes, we attend everything together, but it almost seems like the kids anchor us. And now suddenly we're like, what do we do? But also, I think it's so important for our kids that they get to watch us reach for our professional goals. You know, your boys are going to go into life knowing that they are going to support their spouses. My girls are going to look up to women like you and I and say, well, this is the norm. You know,
Yes.
I can do this, this, and this and still have everything dialed in. Although some days, Hot Mess Express right here.
Oh, same. Hot mess express. It's so true. And then it's grounding yourself. And yes, those little girls are so proud of mom, right? And looking up to you and all of those things. And that's the example is you can wear all those hats like we were talking about. You don't have to choose great mom or great executive business killer, right? We can be both.
And it's okay to mess up. They get to see that too.
Every day.
Some days it's Chipotle or Cabo for dinner. And you know what? We're still good.
Some days, Magna, I'm eating M&Ms, putting myself in mommy timeout if I need a minute. So I hear you.
Yes, I am with you on that. A glass of wine, please, and M&Ms. Yeah.
Exactly.
I know you lead with both high standards as well as a full heart, a high heart. How can accountability and kindness coexist in leadership? I know we kind of touched upon the not being labeled as a bitch. Is there share with me, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do think that so much of it is the mindset of the person experiencing us, right? And so, I truly believe we can't always change people's opinions, but we know our North Star. We know how we're leading every conversation. We know the tone of voice, how we show up to a meeting, right? Are we leading, like you said, with high love and high accountability? So it doesn't always need to be a rainbow sandwich or whatever, compliment, deliver the kill, get out smiling. I have found that directness is always the win. If there needs to be a tough conversation, it's short. I'm very direct. How I start, again, there's no pride in authorship here, but I say, Magna, we're going to have a tough conversation today. And, I just want you to know I'm here in a space of love and I'm here in a space of leadership. And then I kind of go into it. Whether am I in the CDO hat? Am I in the CEO hat? Am I in the surgeon hat? Who am I mentoring? Is it a general dentist, an assistant we're coaching out? Is it a manager that maybe we need to level up? And so I think that what's worked for me is short and direct, where when I was less experienced, I'd be so nervous. It'd be 5 minutes of fluff and tell me about your kids and all of this. And then I'd deliver the blow punch. And I don't think that's as kind. If I walk into a meeting, it's like going in for a medical diagnosis, right? And you're sitting, you're waiting, and you're hoping not to hear cancer. And so you're waiting not to hear I'm fired, whatever it is. So, hey, we're going to have a necessary, or we're going to have a tough conversation. We're not letting you go today. Or what does that feel like to give people that psychological security that they need to actually hear you? So it's evolving for me, but it's something where I feel like with more confidence, I'm getting clearer and less verbose.
You're right. It is a lot kinder. And also for me, it comes to telling that person, this is not personal. I do not hate you as a person. This is about your role within, for me, my practice or my business or whatever it is that you serve here. It's not about you. I don't hate you, or you wouldn't be here. So I think that's so important. And yes, swift, clean. Let's keep it to the point, because you're here to do a job. I'm here to help you get better at it. I love that. The take away the fluff BS is very kind, actually.
And it goes both ways, right? Like I used to, and I still struggle with this, if I'm being honest and vulnerable, not take things personally, right? Especially when you feel like you give everything to your team, right? And then they do something that disappoints me. And I'm like, man, I'm not their mom. And that's a different reframe and a different mindset. But sometimes it can blow. And I remind myself, we're all doing our best for our families first and foremost. And I remind myself not to take it personal, just like we're trying to impart on our team members.
Yeah, love it. You mentioned earlier, you talked about your group of girlfriends almost being therapy. Why is community And this applies to leaders and, of course, to us as well. But why do you believe that this community or mentorship, because you're a mentor, and being surrounded by this group of individuals, they may not be our best friends, but the right people around us. Why is this important in being a driver for our growth, be it personal, be it professional? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I've always believed we're the sum of the people around us, right? And so I love being inspired, and I try and be both a mentor and a mentee, right? Give to get, all of those different things. It still sounds weird to say mentor, but love to help any way that I can. Absolutely. And I think those are different groups. So for me, my group of girlfriends are all hyper successful, talented women. And that doesn't mean they're all professional women. One of my best friends crushes it as a stay-at-home mom, and she wears that with a badge of honor. And it's incredible. And I just think there's so much polarization in women and what is success defined by, right?
That's the hardest job, if anything.
Of course. When we walk into it's like, oh, do you work outside the home? I still don't know the nice way to ask that question. But really what we're trying to do is connect. So it's not a judgment. It's, where can I take this conversation in a space that we're both going to feel great, and I can accentuate all the things that make you tick in your passion? And so I think that, social mom world is its own animal. And then mentorship in our professional space has been everything to me. For me, my groups, I love the Seattle Study Club. I've been a director for almost 10 years. That's where I go to do complex treatment planning, nerd out, be with my friends, and just try and be osmotically absorbing everything that I can from them. And then DEO is where I go to tap into business. And those are my buddies that are really helping me with growing and scaling practices. And I just look up to them in so many ways. And then there's my people in my inner circle, right? My parents are still my first call all the time when there's a big success or a crisis and I need to call mom, or maybe I need editing on some paper. She still does that. I'm in my 40s, And then my husband is my biggest cheerleader. So I think that it's all those different groups. But really the women, I go for a walk Thursday mornings with my friend Lisa, who is as brilliant as, she's at Princeton, Harvard, all of the different things. And you would never know. And she drives a Ford, Flex or one of those things. And just as humble as they come. But it's those conversations through walking and listening and supporting each other where the magic happens. And so, I don't know, I'm just a huge believer that we're tribal animals, and it is one of the things that makes us elevate to our highest and best, and feeling that love at your lowest low or highest high. And who are you going to call it the highest high? I find that fascinating because sometimes it's hard to celebrate your own success. And real friends aren't jealous. They're there celebrating you and clapping loudest and
louder, yes.
Right?
Absolutely. 100% with you there. What's next? What's coming up next for you?
Well, let's see. This week I have Teddy Bear Picnic with my JK son, Wes. I'm very excited about on Friday. So we saw his little teddy bear last night. I joke and laugh. What's really coming up next? I have a stacked day of meetings. We have our operations meetings. I have a coaching call with a few doctors that are interested in possibly partnering with us at Icon. I have a Seattle Study Club meeting tonight. So this is just my daily agenda, but it gives you a snap into, are we with the teddy bear? Are we running a study club meeting? Are we doing operations, digging into KPIs at the practices and how I can support and uplift our managers to go drive change and celebrate success? But really professionally, what's next for me is, I'm so proud to have joined Icon Dental Partners last year, and we're a new group. It's built by doctors for doctors, and it's really disrupting the industry. And, I'm still a very small business, and probably large enough it would be hard for a single doctor, to partner or whatever that looks like eventually with the transition. And so it's been fascinating, Magna. I don't know how much you study or look at the world of the fractionalized industry that we're in, and roll up and corporate and all of the weaponized words that we hear. But I'd been approached for years and years and years about, corporate dentistry, join me, DSO, invisible DSO, all of these different things. And I had no interest, right? And then I found Icon, or really they found me at a Seattle Study Club meeting, and it's different. And so I think what's really next for me is getting the word out to doctors that there's a better way, there's a different way. And it's done with high love and high accountability, if we were to circle back there. But it's just helping realize that we can build something for the right reasons. And that's always been my North Star and my ethos. So I think I've kind of been a lone wolf out there, and I finally found my pack. And so now that I found my pack, I'm lighter and excited and ready to just go build. So Icon for me is really, I think, a catalyst to the growth that we're already having in Detroit. And I'm no longer siloed or alone. I have these great people to support and uplift me. So you can tell I'm excited about it.
I love it. I love it. Yes, dentistry can be very isolating at times, even though we're surrounded by different people all day long. So I
Yes.
completely get that. When we locked on, you were generous enough to offer a clarity call to any doctors that might be listening in. Again, for those that are tuned in or even watching this on YouTube, there is no affiliation on my end. Whitney's just somebody really cool that I connected on Instagram, and I was instantly drawn to her aura and just her boss babeness, if that's a word.
Thank you.
Hence the feeling is mutual. Hence her presence here on the show. So go into that a little bit just so people know what would be the right scenario that they could reach out to you, what that would look like.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I'm happy to help anyone anytime. So whether it seems like a silly question, feel free. You can DM me on Instagram. I have a little website, thesmilesurgeon.com, and there's actually a button. So feel free to click it. You can schedule a 30-minute call with me. It can be about anything. If you're having a tough time and you want to realign, so many people have helped me that I'm really honored to be able to help in any space that I can. If you're a dentist that's looking for their pack, like me, and maybe you're like, okay, what does that look like? I really don't love this world of corporate. I love autonomy. I want to do my own thing, but maybe I don't love some of the nuances of the behind the scenes that I could use support with and find people. I'd love to talk to you about Icon Dental Partners. So it can really be whatever you'd like, but just know that I'm here as a supporting female. Women uplifting women is a huge thing. I know that Magda and I both energize on that. And so I'm here. So, I can tell you about all my failures. It depends on how much time you have, but if I can help you feel a little faster and grow a little smoother, I'd love to help.
Love that. Thank you for that. How can people connect with you?
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram, The Smile Surgeon. The website, again, it's thesmilesurgeon.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. And before we wrap up today's episode, some last words, parting words for those women, doctors or not, or dentists or not, that may be tuned in.
It's a great parting words. I would say, don't wait until you're ready. There's no perfect time, and you can do it. You can be the boss babe, right? You are not a bitch because you're tough and you hold a standard. A boundary is a healthy thing, and the people around you who you're meant to be with will understand that, will uplift you, and will celebrate you. So look at yourself in the mirror, smile, you got this. And if you ever need a reminder, I'm sure Magda or I would love to take a call with you and remind you how great you are.
Absolutely. 100%. Whitney, thank you so much for taking time early this morning to have our little chat, and my heart is truly filled. What a wonderful way to start the morning for me. I get to connect with you and have this amazing conversation. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for filling my bucket this morning. I'm honored. Appreciate it.
Thank you. For those listening in, you know somebody that needs to hear this message that Whitney had to share. Make sure you send them this episode, share it, subscribe, all the good stuff, and go follow Whitney on Instagram. I will see everybody next week. And once again, thank you.